right, fellas. One of the big stories from today, Derrick Rose, one of Chicago's very own, retired earlier today. After 16 years, I could not believe it was 16 years in the NBA for Derrick. So his career comes to a close here, but I ask you guys, is Derrick Rose the most beloved Chicago athlete of the 21st century?
I would rely on Silvy to answer that first.
It's tough. It was a great question that you asked, Tyler. And here are the ones that I think are in competition with him. I think it's Patrick Kane. I think it's Jonathan Taves from the Blackhawks. I think it's, some of those guys from the Cubs, obviously. The 05 White Sox team, Paulie, was beloved for many, many years. Brian Urlacher from those Bears teams. Peanut Tillman was beloved. But, the thing about Derrick, and this is why I say, and like it was a debate, did he do enough? Was his Bulls career long enough? Was he successful enough? The way he started, no one lived up to the pressure more than Derrick. He was Rookie of the Year, the #1 overall pick, then an All-Star, and then the youngest MVP. And then he hurt his knee, obviously. And then it was all downhill, and there was controversy about when he would come back. But the thing about Derrick is, I don't think there was another athlete who meant more to Chicagoans and more to people who grew up in the city, especially from the West Side, than Derrick Rose, because he showed people that that anyone could do what he did. And look at me, I'm just the kid from Chicago who came from nothing and was able to choose my path and to be as good as anybody in the game, even LeBron James. And so for the pressure that he wore and where he took the Bulls, really the only good era of Bulls basketball since the Jordan era. I know the some of the quotes and whether or not he played or not, but I implore the Bulls front office and ownership to announce it soon. Don't screw around. Don't wait a year. Don't wait 2 years. Derrick Rose night should happen this year, and the #1 should get raised to the rafters, because I don't think anyone meant more to Chicagoans than Derrick Rose.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Obviously, there was no title attached to his career here in Chicago, but he was homegrown. And I think that means a lot. And not to mention, I don't mean to say he was only homegrown, but he was a homegrown superstar. And I think I don't think that it's wacky to say, Tyler, that he's the most beloved athlete over the last several decades here in Chicago, for sure, because of that. I mean, there have been more accomplished guys, but.
And the thing, too, Tyler, that not only was he homegrown and not only was he a Chicagoan and a Chicago Bull, I don't know if any other athlete from Chicago ever loved being from Chicago more than Derrick Rose. Like, Derrick Rose loved being a Bull. Derrick Rose loved representing the city. Derrick Rose loved being from the city. He lived downtown. He just loved everything about it. And he wore that with a badge of honor. So, there are other athletes who have come from Chicago who obviously like being here, who have a lot of pride from being from Chicago, many, many of them. But I don't know if there's one who ever wore that distinction with more pride than Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, the way that it just meant a little bit more. And then when you used to hear Tommy Edwards every single time from Chicago, that is iconic in this city. And even though, like you guys said, it didn't produce a title, he's still going to go down as one of the all-timers in this city, despite the fact that his run was so short.
You would answer your own question defiantly, yes, wouldn't you?
For me, he is my favorite athlete of all time. It's one of those things where you have to remember how some of these guys, it's why I will never answer the Jordan LeBron question, because I didn't watch Jordan. I think part of it is, how do these guys make you feel in the moment when you see it on TV? It's different watching on YouTube versus watching it in live action on television or at the United Center or wherever. And Derrick Rose, gave me some of the best sports memories of my entire lifetime. And it's that MVP season was full of them.
It was incredible in the way, like, I fought for him. Remember, we would always fight with Stu Gatz from Levitard, Bulls and Heat and stuff like that. I had a couple of moments, like polar opposite moments at the United Center, and I've told these stories. The one day where I looked up at the rafters and I looked at the retired banners during one of the games that in his MVP season, and I looked at the Jordan number and I said to myself, I can't believe we're getting blessed with greatness again this soon. Like it was like just from heaven. You know what I mean? Like we were getting blessed with this great athlete again, and then it flamed out so quickly. And then I was with my buddy Micker. We were in the first row of the 200 level, right behind the basket where he got hurt in the playoff game. And I have never, ever, ever felt more distraught in a playoff win than I did leaving the United Center that day, knowing that Derrick Rose probably tore his ACL after landing late in that game against the Philadelphia 76ers. I went home. I went into bed. And my wife had to pull me out of bed because we had a benefit that night. I was that upset over him getting hurt.
Time out. You went home and got into bed before you you had an event you had to go to that night?
Yeah, it was an afternoon. It was an afternoon game, and I went home and I just was laying in bed. My wife was working at the United Center, and she came into the room and she goes, "All right." She goes, "Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get out of bed and get ready. We're going out tonight."
Thank God for that.
I was distraught. You know how much I loved him and I loved that team, and I thought they were going to beat the Heat that year.
It's probably the worst win in Chicago sports history, that game.
Yes. Yes.
I'll never forget that one.
Yeah, that was on my birthday, actually.
Was it a good birthday for you, Kevbo?
No.
So you know what I'm saying then, Kevbo.
Yeah, it was very painful, very painful. It went from happy drunk to sad drunk.
Would you have gone and laid in bed and not gotten out for a charity event?
I don't think I'd ever be invited to any charity event, so that's a
let's
non-factor.
eliminate that portion of it. Would you ever just come home from the game and gone to bed, pulled the covers over your head, just cashed it for the night?
Yeah, I could see myself doing that. Sounds like something I'd do.
Throw a Zin in and just
for the record,
sit back?
I did go.
Thanks to your wife.
You persevered so much that day. Real quick, how is he remembered in terms of, all right, Rafters? I think we all agree one's going up in the Rafters at the United Center.
I think you have to,
Yes.
don't you?
And then Hall of Fame. Does he get into the Hall of Fame?
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough one.
Doesn't he?
I don't know.
He would be
I
the
don't know.
first ever MVP to not make the
That's
Hall
what I
of
was
Fame.
going to say. Like, everyone gets into the Basketball Hall of Fame as well.
But you got to remember some of the ways that you wiggle into the Hall of Fame, like international play. He doesn't have a lot of that. I don't think he was ever on an Olympic team.
But he did go to a championship game in his only college year. Do they take that into?
They do.
Do they take his Simeon championships into consideration?
The thing is
what, he win 3?
It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not college. It's not even pro. Like the one in Canton is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So it's just an all-encompassing Basketball Hall of Fame.
Do you think he
I think
gets
it's
in?
going to take. I think maybe eventually. I think it takes time. He doesn't get in immediately.
I'm with you. So like, here's what I wonder is I don't know if there's a veterans committee for this Hall of Fame. If there is, a veterans committee will put him in, because the way that you hear guys talk about Derrick Rose, like his peers, nobody had a higher approval rating of Derrick Rose than his peers.
And by the way, like if you need space, just take, like Jerry West is in there 3 times. Just take him out 1 time and just give that spot to Derrick. You know what I'm saying?
It's incredible to get into the Hall of Fame
3
3
times.
times.
But overall, I don't know if he's going to get in. I would probably say it's like 45 yes, 55 no.
Yeah. Here's the one thing, again, that I'll say about the number retirement, going back to that. Remember, the Bulls have this Ring of Honor thing now, too, which is nice. I don't want them to do the Ring of Honor with Derrick and like first, and then have him be inducted into the Ring of Honor with like 2 or 3 other people in next year's class. Derrick deserves his own night. I don't want it getting lost in the shuffle. Again, he meant so much to like that new generation of Bulls fans, the Chicagoans. There are so many that he meant. You hear what Tyler's saying, who didn't grow up watching Michael Jordan. Do not put him in a group. Retire his number. Do it soon. Don't wait. Don't withhold this, and do it quickly.
How many numbers do they have retired up in the rafters for the Bulls at this point?
I believe 4,
It's a
right?
great question.
I think it's 4.
Well, they have Jerry Sloan, Chet Walker, Bob Love, Scottie
Michael.
Pippen, Michael Jordan. Then you have Phil Jackson. You have Jerry Krause, which aren't obviously numbers. You know, I think Dennis Rodman deserves to get his number retired. Norm Van Leer deserves to get his number retired.
What about Joakim?
That's just that's an emotional answer.
I
if
think
you say
Ring of
yes.
Honor.
Ring of Honor,
What
not.
about let me ask you this. I know this is polarizing. What about John Paxson? Because he was the general manager for so long and won three championships as a player and one as an assistant coach. You talk about contributions to the Bulls. John had a lot of contributions to the Bulls.
Shouldn't he be in the Ring of Honor?
I think he
should be in
technically
the Ring
is,
of
right?
Honor,
Yeah.
but he should maybe get his number retired. He won 3 as a player.
Right.
He played for so long. And then on top of that, he was the general manager for so long.
What about Gar?
Yes. Just a big banner that says Gar. No.
What if it's a joint banner, like half of it's Gar, half of it's Pax, and it goes up
that's
together?
an all Pax banner. That's not the Gar.
It's like the
like one-
Fergie Maddox one.
Well, it could be like one of those jerseys, like the half and half jerseys. You could do like a half Gar, half Pax.
No.
By the way, were
All right,
there any
coming up
fire?
next.
Were there any fire? Sell the team or any of the good chants out there at the ballpark today? Because I know some of our teammates were out there. Any good word out there?
I didn't hear any today, but I was just listening through the radio, so I don't know. Maybe there were
I didn't
some.
hear either.
Yeah, we can ask for a little report.
Yeah. I don't know. Did anyone do the chant today? I think last night there were some good ones. The night before there were. I didn't. From what I was running around the house and stuff like that, but I didn't hear it. And when they scored all 7 runs in the inning, it sort of like upped the mood to a positive vibe. Chris Flexen got a standing ovation. Who would have thought, like I tweeted it out, who would have thought that there would be a member of the White Sox getting a standing ovation in the last home game of the season?
By the way,
I never would have thought that.
there was a discussion with DJ and Len about, because when he left the game, his ERA had dipped below 5. It was 4 and change, but he had left 2 runners on. So there was this push to get him to get out of the inning without any runs scoring so that it would keep his ERA under 5. And when that actually did happen, they described that there was a lot of celebration in the dugout that Flexen's ERA was going to remain under 5 for the season. I thought it was quite entertaining.
Okay. All right. Good for him. He was a victim of a lot of bad luck, too.
I just thought it was funny that there was a celebration that a starting pitcher's ERA was kept under 5.
Did he have a bonus for that, or were
don't
they just celebrating the accomplishment?
Well, he got a $250,000 bonus for going over 160 innings pitched on the season, and he went 6 1/3 today, so he was able to get over that.
Well, at least Jerry didn't, put him to the side before he was able to cross that
Yes.
barrier.
Yeah, they would have pulled him in the 3rd.